This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Human Movement Radio, the Mood Prep series. Now, I want to first invite you to two things. One, what is the Mood Prep series and the Human Movement, and also who I am, for those of you who haven't been following my stuff up until now. But to get started, the whole Move Prep idea, Move Prep, it's not a bad idea either, there we go. That's how the Mood Prep started, actually. I was doing a seminar on nutrition, and instead of saying food prep, I actually had a Freudian slip and said mood prep, and I was like, fuck, there's something in that. And for a very long time growing up, I actually would wake up and definitely through my difficult stages of early business, I would be up early with the gym here in Canberra called Functional Fitness Australia, and especially going through the difficult stages of that, which I didn't know how to fucking deal with. I didn't have the capacity in me. I was definitely in above my head. And all I would do when I got up is just put my earphones on and listen to something positive, even if it was just like a motivational speech that was ridiculous or anything at all. And it just allowed me to get out of my own head and make sure the first thing that I consumed that day was something positive. And later on in life, when mood prep came to be, I kind of realized that it was the same kind of thing for mood prep, where if we can get up in the morning and the first thing we do is consume something positive, and it's not always going to be positive, because sometimes we have to be real, and real isn't always the same positive be happy bullshit, because that's a whole nother podcast. But there's a lot of power to understanding suffering and sadness and everything that goes around with that, probably the dark side of life. But that's another podcast, and I'll definitely go through that stuff through this series. But really, it allows us to be able to set our mind straight, to be able to deal with the challenges of the day. That's what it's about. It's not about this fake positivity, because that's the worst type of sadness anyway, but it's about being able to go, if I can give myself 5 to 10 minutes to be able to listen to something positive before I go on Facebook, before I go on social media, before I check my emails, before the world is trying to get something from me, then how will that change my day? And day by day, how will that change my life? So the Mood Prep series was born from there. Last year, actually, I did a video a day for a year. A very dear friend of mine passed away, and he was my videographer. I really didn't know how to deal with that situation. And it was like, fuck, how do I go through this? And I ended up deciding to do a video a day for 365 days. And that was Alex's legacy. And so from there, when I had people consuming and watching those bits of content on my Facebook page, The Human Movement, then I was like, cool, like, you guys are still wanting to have content. What would you like to have? And they were like, podcast. And so actually, for about 18 months, I did have a podcast, and that was a number of years ago, with a lady called Lauren Hayes, who's now Lauren DeWitt. And that podcast is called Mind Over Movement. So if you really want some of my early stuff, but we interviewed some fucking awesome people. But if you want to listen to some of my early stuff, you should be able to find it on iTunes somewhere. It's called Mind Over Movement. Otherwise, Mood Prep. That's really now where my attention's going in the content space. Now, the Human Movement isn't my gym. My gym is called Functional Fitness Australia, which I own with a couple of legends, who I coach a couple of legends, and we have a shit ton of legends through there. But the Human Movement is my personal brand that I use for consulting, coaching, one-on-one mentoring, and all of that sort of stuff. And that's really where the Mood Prep series come from. So even though there is some 5 and 10 minute podcasts with the Mood Prep series, you'll also see with the Human Movement Radio that there's heaps of other content coming through as well, which might be longer interviews. I know I've got a couple of mates that come through town, or if I travel a lot, then I'll also be interviewing people about different types of stuff, which isn't just mood prep. So in true fashion, for what this podcast will be, and I'm sure it'll evolve over time, and I hope you guys grow with me, I want to start off with something that is really important for us, and that's the whole concept of being able to consciously wire your subconscious. And so throughout the day, when you get an opportunity not to listen to the news, not to listen to music that's on fucking the hit station or whatever it may be, move away from that. Move away and consciously choose to put something else on. A lot of times people will go through and they'll go, oh, I know, I'll just put the news on, or the TV on, or the reality TV show on in the background, and that way I don't feel lonely, or some sort of concept like that. I understand why we will want to do that, yet The difficulty and the trouble with that is that our brain will still consume the information around us because biologically we are wired to consume all of our surroundings. So this is why at a cafe you can still hear things. You'll hear a dog bark, you'll hear birds, you'll hear parts of conversations, you'll also hear keywords. So if someone says a word that it means something to you, you'll actually really wire into that conversation. And so what's happening if we're having this sort of, I'm going to call it junk food, junk mood, if you want to call it junk mood content in the background. See, that's how the mood prep started. Junk mood content in the background, then what's going to happen is that we're going to continually consume that. And so what I'm going to really challenge you to do from today onwards is consciously put something on in the background that's going to be something of interest, even if it's a hobby like about knitting or anything. And people often go, well, I don't get a chance to sit down and really take it all in. It's like, no, but you fucking know this long lyrics to songs you don't even like. You know annoying ads because you hear them. You don't want to know them, but fucking advertisers put that shit in your face. So rebel against it. Turn that shit off and consciously choose what you want to have in the background. And that'll make a massive difference for you in the long run. Sooner or later you'll start, and this is what happened to me with the early days of me going, I'm just going to listen to something positive on the way to work because I'm fucking, that's all I can grab onto in my life right now. Everything else is just fucking suffering. I'm well above my fucking head. And soon enough, I started being able to finish the sentences of the podcast and the motivational speeches at that time I was listening to. And I don't listen to a lot of them now. I've learned a lot, probably more about the other side of life as opposed to just like being motivated. But what ended up happening is that I stopped thinking about all the bad things and I started to think about how I could possibly get through what I was getting through. So I'm going to leave you that today. Number 1, Mood Prep 001. Choose to consciously wire your subconscious and let's see where that goes. So when you notice that you've just got the radio going or you've just got something else going like the news or a reality TV show, consciously turn it off and put something worth consuming in your mind, because that is the whole idea behind mood prep. This 5 to 10 minutes is going to help you in the morning, whether you are getting ready to go to work, whether you're driving to work, you're driving to the gym, you're warming up on the bike, you're cooking breakfast. This whole mood prep concept is there and designed to help you kick today in the dick and hit life as big as you can. So let's start by doing that. Team, thank you very much for listening into my very first episode. I'm really excited for what's to come. Until tomorrow, as always, peace and pizza, and hit life as big as you can.
To be everything at once, be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.